At the height of his fame, when brands lined up with lucrative endorsement offers, Wang Yibo made a choice that left many in shock. He turned down 170 million yuan, approximately 23 million US dollars, not out of arrogance, but out of something far rarer in the entertainment world: conviction. For most celebrities, this kind of money is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a golden ticket to secure their future, expand their empire, or simply enjoy the comforts that success brings. But for Wang Yibo, that wealth stood in direct conflict with something more personal, more visceral: his love for motorcycle racing. He wasn't seeking adrenaline for the cameras or to add a trendy hobby to his brand. His decision was deeply rooted in passion. A passion so intense that he trained for hours every day, pushing his limits in private while the rest of the world wondered where he had disappeared. When his fans were begging for updates, when media speculated about his silence, Wang Yibo was quietly burning on the racetrack under the summer sun, studying every mistake, falling and rising again, perfecting a skill that had nothing to do with the stage. He didn't document his journey for attention. He didn't turn it into a PR campaign. He simply walked away from the glittering path everyone expected him to follow and chose a more uncertain, more demanding road. One that offered no guarantee of applause, but promised something far more meaningful: fulfillment. In a culture where celebrity is often equated with marketability, Wang Yibo reminded the world that value can't always be measured in currency. He made a decision few would understand but many would admire, sacrificing temporary gain for long-term purpose. It was never just about motorcycles. It was about reclaiming control of his own narrative. In turning down that 170 million yuan, he wasn't rejecting money, he was choosing identity. He was choosing himself. Pain has a way of revealing who we truly are. In 2023, at a championship race in Zhuhai, Wang Yibo faced one of the most physically and emotionally defining moments of his life. During a high-speed lap, he crashed violently, suffering a fractured collarbone, a serious injury that should have taken him off the track immediately. But what happened next wasn't just unexpected. It was extraordinary. Against the advice of doctors, surrounded by concerned staff and onlookers who urged him to seek urgent medical attention, Wang Yibo stood his ground. For 40 long minutes, he remained on stage, silent, composed, enduring excruciating pain with a calmness that defied belief. No complaint, no visible weakness, just presence. That moment, hidden from the screaming headlines and the clickbait drama, revealed more about his character than any award ever could. This wasn't about pride or image. It wasn't a performance for fans. It was a raw and deeply personal act of resilience. He wasn't trying to prove he was a hero. He was honoring something within himself. The same determination that led him to walk away from millions for the racetrack now demanded he finish what he had started, despite the consequences. And that decision, made in silence and through agony, said more than any public statement ever would. Many people talk about passion. Few are willing to suffer for it. Even fewer are willing to do it without recognition. Wang Yibo didn't ask for applause or sympathy. In fact, most of the world didn't know what he had endured until much later. But for those who witnessed it, those backstage, those who truly knew what was happening, those 40 minutes became legendary. What Wang Yibo showed that day wasn't just physical endurance. He showed emotional courage, the kind that quietly refuses to break, even when everything inside is screaming to stop. In that painful silence, he redefined strength not as showmanship or bravado, but as stillness, humility, and purpose under pressure. For him, those 40 minutes weren't about the spotlight. They were about staying true. And in that quiet defiance of pain, Wang Yibo became more than a star. He became a symbol of what it truly means to follow passion all the way to its edge. In every journey marked by authenticity, there comes a moment when the world begins to question what it cannot easily define. For Wang Yibo, that moment came after his championship win, when admiration turned into suspicion and praise gave way to pointed fingers. Whispers began to spread that his victory wasn't earned fairly. A fellow racer accused his assistant of filing backstage complaints to remove a stronger competitor. Others went further, claiming that Yibo had exaggerated his training, calling his dedication a well-rehearsed performance rather than the truth of a man driven by passion. it would have been easy to defend himself. With millions of fans ready to rally behind him and a media machine at his disposal, he could have responded with statements, videos, or interviews to restore his name. But he didn't. He chose silence. A silence that wasn't weakness, but a quiet refusal to participate in the noise. In an industry where narratives are often spun louder than the truth, Wang Yibo's decision to step away from the drama spoke louder than any press release. That silence was not empty. It carried the weight of someone who knew his path was not for others to validate. He understood that people will always doubt what they do not understand, and that sometimes, when you stand for something genuine in a world full of illusions, it makes others uncomfortable. So he didn't fight their words. He simply kept working, kept writing, kept living according to the quiet rhythm of his convictions. What many missed was that this silence was a form of self-protection, not surrender. It was the stillness of someone who had made peace with being misunderstood. The truth wasn't in headlines or live streams. It was in his actions, in the long days of practice, in the bruises no one saw, in the unwavering commitment to his craft regardless of who was watching. In the end, the accusations faded. The people who doubted moved on. But Wang Yibo remained, unchanged and unbothered, because some legacies are not built on clearing your name, but on living in such a way that the truth reveals itself eventually without a word. Few know this, Wang Yibo is listed as the inventor of a patented anti-fall performance suit, built with shock-absorbing gel in the elbows and shoulders. He designed it after seeing dancers and racers get injured like he did. When a company offered to buy the rights for mass production, he turned them down. Why? What if someone needs it? He simply said. He didn't create it for profit. He created it so someone else wouldn't have to suffer like he did. That's not business. That's compassion. At a special education school in Changsha, he was caught on surveillance camera kneeling beside a hearing-impaired boy, using sign language to explain a toy car. The boy hugged him, cried, and no one even knew he had been funding the school for 3 years. During the floods in Zhengzhou, locals remembered a young man in a dirt-stained t-shirt helping carry relief supplies. He was knee-deep in water, pushing boats, refusing to be filmed. His donation, 5 million yuan. No media, no PR. This isn't the kind of kindness you post online. This is the kind you carry in your bones. While filming King of the Sky, he rented a martial arts studio 47 nights in a row to help background actors understand their roles, and even taught them English. He draws technical aircraft panels from memory. He buys aerospace textbooks with his own money. One Chinese aerospace engineer confirmed on Weibo, his questions were real, not scripted. He knows his stuff. He's not just a celebrity. He's a learner, a believer in depth, a dreamer who refuses to outsource the hard work. When the city sleeps, he walks alone. No assistant, no bodyguard, just Wang Yibo and the empty streets. He sometimes stops to talk to stray cats. He posts almost nothing about products, only 18 sponsored posts in 3 years, and 61% of them are for public welfare. In a world obsessed with virality and metrics, he moves slowly with outdated values, like loyalty, effort, and kindness. He's like an adult who still believes in fairy tales, reminding us all that there's power in being useless, if it means staying true to yourself. Wang Yibo's legacy isn't measured in millions, but in meaning. He could have taken the money. He could have played it safe. He could have pretended. But instead, he bled for the track, stood tall through the pain, gave without asking, and lived without explaining. Wang Yibo doesn't follow trends. He follows truth. If this story moved you even just a little, don't keep it to yourself. Like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to Star Watch now, where we tell the stories that matter. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one. And until then, keep believing, keep dreaming, and keep going just like Wang Yibo.